I think Richard Scrimmage, he said it best the other day. He says, once certain members of the band left, like I left, Abel Zarate left, it's like you break the nucleus up.
Did I feel secure? I kind of did. I was too young and arrogant, so I really wasn't thinking about it too much. Did I feel that it was about to fall apart? I didn't see that coming.
How did you find yourself in Malo?
I got a call from, I think, Tom Harrell. And Tom Harrell was in Malo for a short time. And then he went to New York. So I went, and I found a guy, and there was a trumpet player named Bill Atwood. I talked Bill into coming into Malo.
Up until that point, we were splitting the money 10 ways. 10 members in the band, we were splitting it 10 ways. After we were getting ready to record the second album, our manager, Chris Wong, gave up half of the management to David Rubinson, who was the producer. And he felt that David could get more done if he was inspired enough to have a percentage of the deal.
We did 2 tunes on Malo Dos, Latin Boogaloo and Momatombo. And then 7 people in the band quit.
And you were one of them?
Which was the biggest mistake of my life.
How did it feel for you to play and all of a sudden the community, oh, Scrimmage isn't here anymore, Tom Poole isn't here anymore?
No problem.
Rico
No problem. I had no problem whatsoever. If they could play and we could talk playing, that's fine with me. I never attached myself, honestly never attached myself emotionally with anyone as far as that's concerned. Because you're my friend, because he said no. Never did. It's just, it happens to me. It's like, well, that's what happened because it happened for a reason. So, okay, go with the change. I keep on playing.
So they came up with this deal where those 3 founding members that were still left would take 17% each, as opposed to 10. So 17 times 3 is 51. It's kind of like controlling interest in stock, I guess. And so the 49%, which was left for the 7 of us, was 7% each. So I looked at myself, I figured, well, I'm gonna take 7 and you're gonna take 17. And at the time, I didn't think that was fair. So myself and the rest of the guys, we all quit.
Because they were the corporation. The corporation is gonna make more money. We are sidemen. That's what a corporation is. Arcilio wrote most of the tunes. He was gonna get writer's royalties. That guy's going to be a millionaire. And then George Santana with the name, of course. And because Pablo and Abel, like Abel was fired, of course, those 3, of course, they made 17%. This is what I'm saying, Daniel. Let them fucking have it. I know that when we all walked out, I know David Rubinson and Chris Wong, they kind of put their head in their hands and went, what? Why?
Well, man, it broke my heart, because we had like, wow, man, we were like on top of the world.
Sound, man. I love it. Hey, you're from San Francisco, right?
The whole band is from San Francisco.
From San Francisco. You were born where?
I was born in Jalisco, meaning Mexico, state of Jalisco.
I've been living in Los Angeles for about 3 years now, and there's one thing I hear a lot of musicians say, well, like, hey, man, I'm going to move to San Francisco because that's, if you want to play, you know, that's where to be. Is that really true?
It is true, man. It's all over, especially right now down Fisherman's Wharf or Broadway, all over San Francisco.
I don't know whether people know it or not, but you told everybody your name was George Santana.
Right.
Carlos is your brother, right?
Yeah, he's my oldest brother.
Right. You know, it's funny, man. It's funny. I read some of your bio or something, and it said that, you know, Carlos plays guitar, and you do too. I know when I was growing up, my brother played guitar too, you know, and every time I'd say, hey, man, teach me how to play guitar, he'd say, get away, squirt, you know.
I know what you're talking about. He did the same thing to me, man. Same thing.
Same thing?
Exactly. Except I wanted to play bass, and no, he says, play guitar. And here I am.
Well, you go and record Dos, and right away, if you look at the Dos album, there's probably 90 to 1,000 musicians on that album. I mean,
No, not that many.
it seems like we had. Did we ever have really even a set group? It just you go to the Dos album and
No, because there was a nucleus.
You know, as I was making like the money from the publishing that I wasn't tripping on it, and I think I remember we had a meeting one day where everybody was talking. You know, and I said, you know, well, give them what they want. You know, and I was arguing for the band, you know, because I've always been the singer is not a singer unless he's got a great band.
Right.
You know, he's not a great singer unless he's got a great band, and we had a great band, and I wanted to keep that together, you know. And after that, you know, I mean, I put in my 2 cents, you know. I said, give them what they want, because I was like the part owner at that time. You know, it was me, Jorge, and Pablo, you know. And, you know, we had the meeting. I left the meeting, and then all of a sudden I find out, boom, these guys are leaving.
We went to a lawyer and tried to lobby to have him talk to the record company and say, listen, this is 70% of the band, and they should not be cut out of the deal. Anyway, since there was a contract that had been signed prior to that, we didn't have any rights to that.
It's been said to me by certain people that had Malo's career started from the second album, it would have been a totally different career. It just didn't have. It was great, not to take away, you know, Cadley Hallman, Francisco Abubea, great players, but just a certain chemistry lacking. It was a little bit more scattered and not focused.
When you find yourself moving to the music that you hear, and your feet are compelling you to dance and get out of jail.
Yourself moving to the music that you hear, and your feet are compelling you to dance and get out of here. I don't worry, throw away your care. Let the song fill the air. You're moving too slow. Set you free. You're moving the Latin boogaloo.
Would you kind of introduce everybody else to us?
I'll start with the congas. Francisco Bovella, the piano, Ron DeMasi, drums, Tony Smith, bass, Paul Telles, trombone, we have Steve Sherrard, trumpet, Forrest Bucktail, Ron Smith, the other trumpet,
and the vocalist?
Lead singer, Celia Garcia.
How about a round of applause for everybody? Malo.
You know, they tried their best to make things right. They tried to push around percentages. There was people in the band that should not have been listened to, but were listened to. We were young. We didn't have any fucking idea how large we were.
go-to guy, the manager, where do you feel like you begun to lose control?
When they started to listen to outside influences. I had hired specifically a public relations person, and when the band wasn't doing that well, I had to cut back on, letting, guys have, more expensive hotel rooms, and instead of limos and stuff, we'd have station wagons and things like that. And I did that all because I wanted them at the end of the day to have more money to share amongst each other. This fellow that I had hired started talking to the band and convinced them to go with him.
The group does not work for a manager. The manager manages the group. You know what I mean? They get the bookings and the stuff. So it's not where the manager is got the last say so of everything, and that was the problem that because you got to remember I had two partners. I had Jorge and I had Pablo, so I was only one vote. I was only one vote there. So if they made a decision and they outvoted me, that's what happens.
And then I got a call from George. He said, Chris, we decided to let you go. We're going to go with, I think his name was John something. I don't remember what his last name was. And, me and the band decided, we're going to go with this guy here. And I was crushed.
On. The group was great, we did the third album. And we toured, we toured all the way to, I had to leave because I was sick. That was a downtime in my life because I couldn't sing for about a year because my body was so weak. I went from 220 pounds to 110. I was getting these high fevers and I was turning yellow and all this stuff. So what the hell's going on? So I go to the doctors, and they put me in the hospital right away. So they diagnosed me with cirrhosis of the liver. So now I went from 220 pounds to 110 because they're injecting me with all this stuff and liver extract and this and that, and I'm throwing up all over the place. Man, you know what it was? It wasn't cirrhosis of the liver. It was yellow giants from a dirty glass. So they almost killed me.
I mean, because the third album, you had like Tony Smith now, and it was a different sound than the
Oh,
first album.
yes. I was adaptable. Just give me anything, and I'll make it sing. Just give me anything, I'll yes. In other words, I wouldn't, yes. You give me anybody. You give me the best musician, whatever it was, or drummers. Yeah, drummers, yeah. That was one part. They had a hard time with me. Because I was so in my creativity. When I was moving, I would move, and then that drummer better. I mean, he had to follow. He had no. I mean, it's the other way around. Supposed to the bass plays with the drummer. No, the drummer what it does, it keeps you locked in a box, and I forget that. And I didn't like that. It's either I'm going to speak, and then I'm melodic. I love melodies, and the basses are very melodic. And I would get out of that. I could set up, a funk or a groove, and then but in that groove I will put melody. Always I would think melody, and I would move it in different timings and different ways, and come in and come out and go out and do all kind of stuff.
Actually, it was going into the disco and the funk back, and I didn't agree with all the. I always say we get this is our niche right here. It's a Latin rock thing. We got to be careful how far we take this. Then I got sick. I had called Willie G. He was a singer for the Midnighters at the time, and I didn't get a hold of him, so I gave the number to Dave Rubinson and George, and they called him to finish the last album.
1973, early 74, I had a band called God's Children. And we were working at a club called Kabuki. And there's a photographer, George Rodriguez and his brother Rudy Rodriguez. Well, Rudy was doing a shoot at the Santa Monica Civic, and Malo was doing a concert there. That same night, my band was at Kabuki, and after their concert, all of them came. The next thing we knew, they were on stage jamming with us, and before the night was over, their manager at the time, Doug Tracy, approached me and asked me if I would consider coming up to San Francisco and hearing their proposal for a new recording project. He mentioned that Arcelio had taken ill. And the next thing I know, within a week, I went up there with a couple of suitcases, all my belongings, and we went to work on the Ascension album.